and good afternoon, people of Derby. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you this afternoon on this Magic Monday. I'm Sanj, as you can see at the bottom there, and I'm really excited to be with you today to present another special episode of Brilliant Derby. And again, I have to say, and I always say this at the start, but there is scope to get involved. Brilliant Derby is gaining momentum within the community. So if you want to get involved with Brilliant Derby, please drop us an email there. yes@brilliantderby.org. And that can be in so many different ways. If you want to get in front of the camera, we are looking for people who want to get involved. If you want to be behind the camera doing some more technical stuff, please drop us an email. If you want to be on the show as somebody who's doing fantastic work within the community, please let us know about the work that you're doing. Or if you know somebody who's doing fantastic work in the community and you want to give them a shout out and signpost us towards them, please feel welcome to do that too. So it's fantastic to be here with you. We've seen some really, really special episodes in the last few weeks from real people in Derby, and that's a theme of Brilliant Derby right now. It's evolved from since it started with, Andy Cope kicking off with Art of Brilliance, but now we're going deeper and deeper into Derby people to find out more about what's going on within Derby. One, because we should promote Derby and all the fantastic work that's going on within the community, but also to give you awareness of things that you can get involved with within your community and help Derby to be a better and happier and healthier place to live. So today we have a very special guest, of course, as we do with every episode of Derby, but this one's a little bit different just because of you'll see. One, you saw the title of the session. You might know Rob, but we're going to find out some very interesting things about something that's going on right now in your community. So, shared the name already, Rob. My friend Rob Shade, are you there, sir?
Hi, I am, yep.
Hey, fantastic. Great to see you, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you, mate.
Nice, good stuff. Well, we've had a few phone conversations, Rob, to set this up, and now we're finally here. You've seen the ticker there, Rob Shade. Rob, for the benefit of me and for the benefit of everybody listening, we'd love to know a little bit about Rob. Who is Rob?
Well, I set up an organisation called Aspire, based in the Derwent Ward of Derby back in 2016. We were, particularly at the time, we've evolved a bit, but at the time we were mainly about wrestling and giving people the opportunity to have lots of fun, really, and go a bit wild.
Wow. Hey, fun and wild, that's what we're all about. Jeez. Two words that you definitely associate with Derby, isn't it? Fun and wild.
Yeah, definitely. But of course, whilst the people coming in and doing the wrestling and just having great fun, what was really happening underneath that was, they were basically improving their situations. They were improving their physical health by getting fitter with what they were doing with the wrestling. They were improving their mental health because they were growing in confidence and forming those new friendships. And as time progressed, we started to do actual wrestling shows, and these people from Derby got to live their dream, and started being wrestling superstars. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And again, so many things I just want to go a little bit deeper, Rob. But in terms of, the first thing, again, Brilliant Derby is all about helping people within Derby feel like the best versions of themselves on a more regular basis. Like you alluded to there, getting involved with the physical activity is really powerful, whether it's wrestling or whether it's something different, because you give your body, you give your mind that different kind of focus, and you notice results in a different way, which then triggers your mind to think about other things. So it's really powerful what you said about, people building up their physical health, which then results in improved confidence and improved, relationships because they want to go out more and socialize more and all these kinds of things. So I love that. But let's dive a little bit deeper into the wrestling because that's what's got me curious right at this point. But where does the wrestling background, the wrestling story come from? Because that's quite a unique thing to do. So I'd love to just know a little bit more about wrestling and your experience of that.
Yeah, I'm a wrestling fan of many, many years. I think I found so many people around Derby who actually are, particularly going back to the World of Sport days because I'm quite old, so Big Daddy and Giant Stacks and people like that. And then I got into the American stuff, Hulk Hogan, WWE, and so on. And so I followed wrestling personally for a long time. And then I've got two sons, and my older lad he got into wrestling, which delighted me, his dad, so we could go watch lots of live shows around the UK together. And then he wanted to start doing it himself. So at the time, we were going to some shows in Nottingham, and I became aware of a wrestling training school in Nottingham. And so he went along to that. And my lad, the one I'm talking about, he has autism and learning difficulties. And we also had quite a difficult situation at home. His mum was poorly with cancer and stuff. And so we were having a lot of difficulties with him social interacting, and due to his autism, a lot of other stuff, and really progressing in life. And everything he always tried really, really hard, but he always seemed to find barriers. And wrestling was the one thing which seemed to unlock those barriers for him. Because with wrestling, because it's kind of almost like its own culture. Once you enter a wrestling school, to state the obvious, everyone in that school loves wrestling because they wouldn't be there otherwise. So it's like a common language, and everyone's so accepting. It doesn't matter what your background is or anything like that. Everyone is instantly accepted because they love people coming in because they want to wrestle. So it's more people to work with. And so he started doing that and progressing with his skills in the ring and things. But I noticed the difference it was making to him outside of wrestling. You could visibly see him growing in his confidence because he was achieving with the wrestling. He was able to, progress with it, and he was making new friendships, which is something he'd always struggled with. And as I talked to some of the other people that were there, of various ages, I started to learn lots of other stories, similar ones to my son, and how wrestling had impacted upon them for whatever reason they were struggling in their lives. And so had all that in mind, and then my personal situation got a bit difficult. I got made redundant from a job I've been in for nearly 20 years. And there's a lot going on in my life. I lost out my wife, like I mentioned, had cancer. We had a lot of other concerns, lots of other things going on. And so I had a lot of mental health issues myself. And one night I actually attempted suicide, and very luckily managed to get some support and get out of that. But when I came out of it, I learned a lot about what it's like to have really bad mental health issues. And I swore to myself that however I was going to do it, I wanted to do something to help other people, because it is the worst place to be in. You can't even pick up a toothbrush and clean your teeth, and it's hard to explain how it grabs you unless you've actually been there. And I learned how little help there is as well when you're in that position. So stuff very luckily fell into place. I knew someone who knew someone, kind of thing, and we managed to find out that there was the potential, to start something up in Derby, where there was no wrestling school, so a bit of a unique selling point. And my background is I'm an accountant by trade, and so it's easy to have the wishy-washy ideas if you want to help people and do all these amazing things, but you still have to pay the bills. Otherwise it doesn't last for very long. So we came up with a plan where we would have some stuff happening to help people, but also would hopefully pay the bills. And the wrestling kind of ticked those boxes because I knew that wrestling helped people just from my experience in Nottingham, my son and others, and the mental health benefits, but also obviously the physical health because you do a lot of fitness work to do wrestling, but also people pay to come and do it. So, and because there's nobody else in Derby doing it as well, and I knew it was popular all over the country, so that was kind of the theory behind it. And then we did a lot of other stuff outside of wrestling, mental health support groups and things, but the wrestling is always the core, and yeah, that's why we did it.
Gosh, there's so many things I want to dive deeper in. First thing is thanks so much for sharing about your experiences. Because again, unless that's the beauty of having people, Derby people being on Brilliant Derby, is that again these experiences that unless you've been to that, like you said, that dark place about brushing your teeth and not wanting to progress anymore, unless you've been in that dark position, you have a choice, and you've used that story, and the experiences that you've had with your family to then channel good for others, because like you said, there'll be others in those similar kinds of situations who don't have that support system. So if you can be that support system for others, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. So Thanks so
Yeah,
much for
definitely.
sharing that, Rob. And it's really, really powerful. And I'm a massive. I used to be a massive wrestling fan. Like me and my brother used to wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning every month to watch all the wrestling events in America. We used to record it on a video back in the day, and watch it with my
Yeah,
grandparents. We had the Titrons, we had the belts. We used to have a hardcore match rule so that whoever was champion could attack the other person, and it was 24 hours. So whoever pinned down my brother or me, it was always live. So massive wrestling fan too, and it's amazing to see that it's still going well, and also you'll be able to impact people here with that. So love that, Rob, and and especially the fact that you're doing, yes, wrestling is almost the vehicle, but the destination is almost people improving their mental health and physical health. And if it's wrestling or if it's not wrestling, like you said, it doesn't really matter. But if wrestling is that opportunity for another person, fantastic, fantastic. I'd love to know a little bit more, Rob, about the other kinds of things that you do at Aspire, because you mentioned some of them, but what kinds of services or what kinds of trends do you see within people, maybe who want to try wrestling, but they go towards something else, or they start somewhere else and then go towards wrestling? What kinds of themes do you notice within people?
well, before the pandemic, we were
Mm.
doing a lot of we were doing some of what you would consider your conventional community activities, I guess, because we've got like a community centre building which has a massive wrestling ring in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and so we were just like fun days, for local residents, and we had smart groups, so things like that going to support people. But we also had a project running, which was funded by the police, and we were working in primary schools across the area where we're based, the D21 part of Derby, and it was called the Right Road. And it started off with police officers going in with wrestlers, in their wrestling gear, to talk to the kids in these primary schools, 12 primary schools every month, about stuff to keep them on the right road, because the schools are picking out kids who were going potentially down the wrong path. So we didn't actually do any wrestling in the schools, but it was more a case of the police would be initially talking about whatever it was they're talking about to help the kids go the right way, but having a wrestler there kind of relaxed the kids,
Yeah.
because a lot of kids go from backgrounds where the police not very popular, that kind of thing, and uh, and it was working really, really well, and we got nominated for a National Crime Beat Award for that. It was making a really high impact, but some of our wrestlers who came to Aspire, originally purely to learn how to wrestle and to become wrestlers, have picked up on the other aspects of Aspire's Right.
Mm.
And so that Right Road program I just mentioned, the wrestlers that went in, obviously people who came to us to learn to wrestling, but then became embroiled in this other work. And, we learned a lot about them in this process. They had a lot of issues with their own upbringings as children, and they wanted to have that opportunity to kind of give back and make a difference to others. So that saw them, really getting involved beyond the wrestling, if you like, to go in and help other, others much younger than themselves. And that trend has continued during the pandemic, because whilst we've had to stop the school visits for obvious reasons, like we've had to stop the wrestling as well. Uh, One of the other pieces of what we did do before the pandemic was we did like a little food bank for some
Mm.
isolated adults who live near where we're based, and we get referred those adults to us by people like local area coordinators, and we'd use the food as a bit of fish and bait to get these adults who have mental health issues. Same situation I was in, so I got it because I've been there. I didn't care if I ate or anything, so I just didn't care, full stop. And so there were these other adults who live close to our Spire's base, who got referred to us for free food. But the food really, while it helped them eat, the main purpose was to get them out of their homes and to start rebuilding their confidence. And those little things make a huge difference. So they come along and they'd be very nervous when they first came in, but they keep on coming, and then they get more and more relaxed, and then they'd stay for a couple in a chat, and then start reading poems to us, or then start asking us if they can use the computer to learn how to use the internet, or volunteering in some respect. And you could see the difference that was making to them. One of them went on and got a full-time voluntary job somewhere else, which, if you knew where he'd come from, would in itself be a remarkable story. But because we're already doing that, the pandemic then started. We got approached by the council to see if we could be part of a wider picture of food support across the city. Uh, so we've done that, and so we have become during the pandemic a full-time food hub. So we've now delivered food well over 15,000 food parcels since the pandemic started. Uh, Mainly in the DE21 area, but all over the city as well for the NHS and some other organisations. And during that, some of our young wrestlers have come in and helped with that as well. And like we had one this week who's at school holidays, he's 15, and he's been in and out during all of this. Um, and and what they're finding is, they're learning these skills about the value of working for a community, but it's also helping them. So when he finished, he's back at school next week, so he's a bit gutted. But it's his final year, and he's like saying, "Well, when I finish end of May, because I'm not got GCSEs now for the pandemic reasons, can I come in every day? Until I go to college?" And because they want to help, and so it's giving that community feel to these young people. But it's also for them because Aspire was kind of like their safe place before, and we obviously not been doing the wrestling. But coming into the building, we've learned is so important to these young people. And so, with this particular lad, he and his mum were basically saying to us the difference it made to him just being in the building, this week was immeasurable because he's just been struggling so much because he's not been able to come and see everyone there and be the place which is the place he always wanted to be before the pandemic. So it's a double-edged thing. It helps him, but it also helps us
Yeah.
massively. But long term, I think it helps the city because we've got quite a number of these people around that sort of age who have been deeply embedded now into this food hub work that we've been doing. And they're there serving the community as volunteers. And it's those life skills that is giving those young people and the values and everything who just came to be wrestlers. That's the only reason they came to us, but they get involved in all this sort of stuff, and they want to shoot videos for us and podcasts, and one of them is writing a newsletter for us, and they want to help running the social media, and we're opening a community shop soon, one of the first in Derby, which we love
Amazing.
food up, and they want to be involved with that if they can be, and yeah, they just came to wrestle, and it just grows from there. So it's amazing, and they're great people. So
It sounds like magic, to be honest, Rob. It sounds like magic. And again, so many things you said about, the importance of, one of the main things that sticks with me for that is the importance of youth to be guided in the right direction. And like you said, there's a lot of young people who maybe don't have good role models or, people they aspire to be using the word aspire, there, but, people who they don't really have that support network or community where they feel like they can grow or, ask these kinds of questions. So if you can provide that safe space, like you said, especially to a young mind, the impact on that young mind is invaluable going forward because you're shaping the way that they see the world, you're shaping the way that they feel about the world from a young age in a healthy way, which, like you said, not only helps them, helps their immediate family that they live with, but also the community is is one that just excites people because you see this youngster and you think, gosh, like you said, when they first come, they're a little bit shy, and then soon they want to make videos, they want to make podcasts, they want to come to you instead of going to school, and all these.
yeah,
It's unbelievable,
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. I mean, we recently had a name change. We were known as Aspire Wrestling Alliance. We're now Aspire Community Wrestling Alliance.
Mm,
And that name change came from one of our
yeah.
young people who just came to wrestle, who felt that Aspire's name should reflect more the wider work we do in the community. That came from one of the young people. So for me personally, that was one of my favourite moments of Aspire because it demonstrated just how much it meant,
Mm,
to a young person and how they understood what Aspire is actually about. It's not just wrestling. And to me, that was really, really cool because it meant to me the message I wanted to get across right at the very start of it is getting across, so
yes.
so that was great. Yeah, so we're now having to design the logo competitions for need a new logo. So again, we're having lots of young people get involved with that. So
Oh wow, that's how inspiring, Robert. Really congratulations for all the amazing stuff that you're doing within the community, and 15,000 meals. You could have easily said, COVID's happened. Let's just shut up shop. Let's just not post less. Let's just keep ourselves within ourselves. But you identified the need of what you were doing and other people needing you. So you needed the selfless thing of, just getting stuck in. So, congratulations, Rob, for that. And I just want to dive a little bit deeper while we've got time, Rob, is to, again, as somebody who's had so much life experience yourself, but also you spend so much time meeting other people, learning from other people as well. What kind of, if I'm going to put you on the spot here, Rob, but one top tip for people to feel good about themselves on a more regular basis. So we're not saying about, being too happy, everything's absolutely fine and all this kind of stuff. But how can, what would your top tip be to, during a difficult time, how would you suggest one top tip for others to really help themselves feel better on a more regular basis?
I would say be true to yourself, because I spent most of my life doing something I felt I should do, and then I realised, and I was never happy really, and I realised something like Aspire is what I was kind of meant to be doing, I think. And so, because it feels natural to me, I'm happy in myself. And in the pandemic, being able to help others has also made not just me, but everyone else who's been involved. It's helped all of us uh, with our mental health because we're not been stuck at home, uh, worrying about stuff, going out of our minds. We've been busy, but we feel we've been making a difference, and that's helped ourselves with our mental health as well. So I would just say be yourself and help others.
Well,
Really.
it's made it sound so simple, Rob.
Yeah. I know it's not because that's what celebrating barriers, uh, mental barriers. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I think once you're in your right place, it is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things, Rob, that like, until you experience it, you don't know how good it is or how easy it was to get into that position in the first place or maintain that position. But taking that
Yeah,
first step or taking that third or fourth and fifth step eventually is the challenging part. So again, like you said, if you've got a community, if you've got like-minded people around you to support you, that's where the magic is to get that first, kind of few steps. And then once you're there, it's all about staying around those right people.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and having those people is vital because sometimes, much as I love everything we do, and it's like the
Mm.
most awesome thing I've ever done, and but in terms of satisfaction, but sometimes we're all human, we get tired. And then I come in one day, I just feel a bit washed out. And then I see everyone just buzzing around, packing food
Yeah.
parcels 8 hours a day in a church that's got no heating in. And they've been doing that all winter, frozen, and they never
Wow.
stop. And so sometimes when I come in a bit tired and I go down and say hello and I see them all at it, I feel wow, they just energize me, and so it kind of rubs off. I think vice versa. So, but you're dead right. You need those people around you, and we're so lucky because we've got some of the best people on the planet helping us, both
Yes.
inside us and around us. We're so lucky, and yeah, it's vital.
No, it's beautiful. And like you said, it all comes down to the power of the mind, and often our body wants to say no, and often we used to just say no, I can't be bothered to do that. But if you're around a few people who've got a little bit of a spring in their step, a little bit of a glint in their eye, you're like, whoa, something's going on there. I want to be part of that.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
so you almost catch it from them, and you think, wow, I've got a bit of energy now. So,
yeah.
you're definitely doing that in your community, Rob, and congratulations for everything you're doing. And I know next time I'm in the Derby area, we'll go for a catch up. And I want to find out more about you and what you do. So, Rob, I
Yeah,
just want to
cool.
say thank you so much for joining us for Brilliant Derby. We're going
No,
to
thank
share
you.
all your details in the comments below. So if people want to find out more about Aspire community and wrestling within Derby, then we're definitely going to signpost them towards you, Rob.
Yeah.
But thank you
Okay.
so much for sharing your time today. Any last words from you, Rob?
Just thanks for the opportunity to speak, really, and yeah, keep up the great work, mate.
No, no, no. It's all possible thanks to people like you, Rob. So thanks so much for getting involved. And again, you just saw on the ticker there about getting involved with Brilliant Derby. So if you're the type of person who wants to get involved more with the community, please email us at yes@brilliantderby.org. And again, that's in front of the camera, behind the camera, coming on the show, or even giving somebody a shout out who's doing fantastic work within the community. But slowly, we're going deeper and we're getting more community focused. So we really appreciate your efforts, in the community itself, Rob, but also your time today to join us for Brilliant Derby. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.